I am who I am because I value my past. The memories of yesterday can never be changed, but they give me a reason to live again. There is a reason I am here today, but there is no reason you lost your lives. You were called abusive names, deprived of rights to be humans, slayed because of who you were born. I am lighting a candle as the sign of resilience. I'm paying a tribute. You left a legacy, and I'm a fruit from the love you sowed. Let's say never again to genocide. There should be no war. There should be no genocide. Anyway, let's say never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. I was young, I still needed you, but you were taken away from me too soon. If I had one wish, it would be seeing you again. Today we're strong men and women, even though you are not here to see. We're carrying on to make you feel proud out there, watching down on us. I am lighting a candle as the sign of resilience. I'm paying a tribute. You left a legacy, and I'm a fruit from the love you sowed. Let's say never again to genocide. There should be no war. There should be no genocide. Anyway, let's say never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. I am a witness that if you and I come together as one, we can make sure genocide never happens again. History should be told and passed on to further generations. Let's all stand up and all sing out, never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. There should be no war. There should be no genocide. Anyway, let's say never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. We are here as one nation. We say never again. We unite as human race. We say never again again, never again. To genocide. Never again, never again, never again. We brought you flowers. 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 We brought you
Good evening, fellow Ambazonians, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to this very important broadcast, Ambazonia. This week, just a week after the federal government draft was launched. Amazing things are happening at the home front, and that's what we'll be looking in some of the news flash this evening with Tabitha Ako and some of our commentators. We had to bring the security chief of Bowie County, Commander Elvis. We did everything to make sure that we'd have him in the studio. But there is a bigger picture of what is happening. Ambazonia is at war and fighting intensively, and the tides in the global scene is changing so rapidly. New allies are being created, relationships are being fractured, and in anticipation of the future, it could be quite complex. A few days ago, the Norwegian government indicated that Ayaba is a flight risk. Indicated that Ayaba is a flight risk. It was indicated so that Ayaba is a flight risk. And we are wondering what will happen next. That alone has sparked controversy within the Ambazonian community, and a lot of people have diverse opinion. Our interest is what the government that looks for every person, the government that is the government for the good, the bad, and the ugly. What is government position in this regard? What will be the future in all of this? So much is happening. We'll get into the intricacies of the clashes that have taken place at the home front from Imojok to Bowie. And then this morning, we are receiving amazing images from the mountain lions of the ASA in the Federal Capital Territory, Faku. I will not waste so much of your time. I'll be taking you right now into the newsroom for us to get to hear what is happening with Tabitha Aku and the other news anchors. I want to be sure that my commentators are having a feedback sound, because I just noticed Barrister Fru was trying to call me. If he was actually listening to me, he wouldn't call. So be sure that they are getting my sound and everybody in the studio is getting the sound from me. Over to you, Tabitha. Over to you, Tabitha.
Tonight, a high-level ISIS leader is dead after a powerful U.S.-backed operation in Iraq. President Trump wasted no time in celebrating the victory, calling it a major win against terrorism. But with ISIS still lurking in the shadows, is this the beginning of the end, or just another battle in a long war? This and many more will be detailed in tonight's Flash News. Good evening and welcome. I am Tabitha Ako. Let's begin. Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Sha'ai al-Sudani has confirmed the killing of Abdullah Maki Musleh al-Rifai, also known as Abu Khadija, a senior leader of the Islamic State, in a joint operation by Iraqi intelligence forces and the U.S.-led coalition, describing him as one of the most dangerous terrorists in Iraq and the world. Al-Sudani praised the operation as a major victory in the ongoing fight against terrorism. While this marks a significant blow to ISIS, does it indicate a substantial weakening of the terrorist group, or will new leadership quickly emerge to fill the vacuum? Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump celebrated the news on his Truth Social platform, stating that al-Rifai's miserable life was terminated as a result of relentless U.S. effort in coordination with Iraqi and Kurdish forces. Today, the fugitive leader of ISIS in Iraq was killed, Trump wrote. He was relentlessly hunted down by our intrepid war fighters, Trump stated, who has long championed a hardline approach against ISIS, and ended his post with his signature phrase, "Peace through strength." Well, U.S. Central Command confirmed the operation in a statement, detailing that an airstrike in Iraq's Al-Anbar province successfully targeted al-Rifai, who was the global ISIS leader, chief of global operations, and the delegated committee emir. As one of the top decision makers in ISIS, al-Rifai was responsible for overseeing global operations, logistics, and financing, making his elimination a key strategic victory. However, history has shown that eliminating higher-ranking leaders does not necessarily dismantle terrorist organizations. A quick question: does this strike significantly disrupt ISIS operations, or will its decentralized structure allow it to persist? Following the airstrike, U.S. and Iraqi forces moved in to secure the site and confirm the deaths of both al-Rifai and another ISIS operative. Both individuals were found wearing unexploded suicide vests and carrying multiple weapons, a sign of their readiness to resist capture. CENTCOM Commander General Michael Eric Kurila emphasized the broader implications of the strike. Abu Khadija was one of the most important ISIS members in the entire global ISIS organization. We will continue to kill terrorists and dismantle the organizations that threaten our homeland and U.S. allied and partner personnel in the region and beyond. Al-Rifai was identified using DNA collected from a previous raid where he narrowly escaped, a testament to the ongoing intelligence operation tracking ISIS leadership. While his death is a clear win for counter-terrorism efforts, experts caution that ISIS has historically adapted to leadership losses, often reorganizing and continuing its activities in new forms. With al-Rifai's death marking yet another high-profile ISIS leader elimination, a crucial question remains. Is the U.S. strategy of targeting killings effectively dismantling ISIS, or is it merely prolonging a cycle of leadership replacement without addressing the root cause of this extremism? Well, building up on this long chain, the world will not be shocked if this terrorist group reinforces with a new leader. Moving over to other global news today, an update on Putin's stance with the Russia and Ukraine war. In a dramatic turn in the Russia-Ukraine war, U.S. President Donald Trump publicly urged Russian President Vladimir Putin to spare thousands of Ukrainian troops reportedly trapped in Russia's Kursk region. Putin responded to Trump's direct appeal, announced on Friday that he would allow the soldiers to leave, but only if they surrender. While this appears to be a significant diplomatic intervention by Trump, does it mark a genuine step toward peace, or is it a strategic maneuver that could shift the power dynamics in the war? Trump's statement followed a high-level meeting in Moscow between his envoy, Steve Witkoff, and Putin on Thursday night. Describing the talk as very good and productive, Trump expressed hope that the war could finally end, pointing to a U.S.-backed ceasefire proposal that Ukraine has accepted and Russia is still considering. Let's take a look.
Some very good calls today with Russia. And with Ukraine, they've agreed for a ceasefire if we can get it with Russia. And it's not easy. It's a tough one. But I think we're doing it. And as the Secretary General said yesterday of NATO, a terrific guy, he said without Trump, we wouldn't be talking about it. It would just go on for years and millions of people have been killed, but millions more people would be killed. And he said it was a great honor. Without me, it would just keep going on. We're looking for the ceasefire now with Russia, and we've had some very good talks about it. We've had some very good responses. And I can tell you that there was a case where there would have been no war if I were president, and it's just 100% would not have happened, would never have happened. I used to speak to President Putin a lot about it. I said, don't do it. Don't do it. I won't tell you what the consequence was. I won't tell you what but if he believed even 5% of what I said, then he would say, I'm not going to do it. And I think he did.
President Trump's plea right there. On the contrary, Putin, while acknowledging Trump's plea, accused Ukrainian forces of committing crimes against civilians in Kursk, claims that Kyiv strongly denies. However, he added that any Ukrainian troops who surrender will be granted life and treated according to international law and Russian regulations. Now, leaving the fate of the trapped soldiers hanging on their willingness to comply. Meanwhile, former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev took a more hardline stance, warning that any troops who refuse to surrender will all be methodically and mercilessly destroyed. However, Ukraine refuted claims of entrapment, insisting that its forces were executing a strategic withdrawal to more advantageous defensive positions. The country's general staff dismissed Russian reports of encirclement as false and fabricated for political manipulation. Wow, the situation in Kursk has become a critical flashpoint in the war. Originally seized by Ukraine in August as a rare incursion into Russian territory, the region is now witnessing fierce battles as Russian forces attempt to regain control. The conflict has turned Kursk into a potential bargaining chip in future negotiations, with Trump pushing hard for a resolution. During a G7 meeting in Canada, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirmed that Witkoff was returning from Moscow and suggested that discussions about Ukraine could escalate over the weekend. We certainly feel like we are at least some steps closer to ending this war and bringing peace, Rubio said, but it's still a long journey. Meanwhile, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte praised Trump's direct engagement with Putin, calling it extremely helpful and extremely important. However, he warned that NATO must maintain a long-term deterrence strategy to prevent future Russian aggression. Thus, Trump's diplomatic outreach signal a lasting peace strategy, or is it merely a short-term effort to secure a ceasefire before the U.S. elections? Trump, eager to cement a diplomatic victory, has urged Russia to finalize a ceasefire and a final agreement. While Putin has expressed cautious optimism, he insists that key conditions must be met before halting military operations. Among Russia's demands are Ukraine must drop its NATO ambitions and limit its military size. Kyiv must surrender control of 4 contested regions that Russia claims as its own. Western sanctions on Russia must be eased. Ukraine must hold presidential elections, which Kyiv argues is impossible under martial law. Well, despite these conditions, Trump called Putin's response very promising, emphasizing that peace is within reach if both sides make concessions. However, given Russia's history of leveraging ceasefire talks to strengthen its military position, is this the beginning of genuine peace negotiations, or is Putin using diplomacy as a cover for further strategic gains? A very important truth right there. But then the world argues on, and a stance the U.S. needs to look into. Moving on to Africa. In a rare diplomatic move, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has effectively expelled South Africa's ambassador to Washington, Ibrahim Rasool, accusing him of being a race-baiting politician who harbors anti-American and anti-Trump sentiment. The decision, announced in a post on X, did not come with an official State Department statement, but Rubio referenced a Breitbart article linking Rasool's comments to growing concerns about shifting racial demographics in the U.S. and global far-right movement. Given the broader context of strained U.S. South Africa relations, is this a necessary stand against perceived hostility, or does it signal an emerging geopolitical rift? Rasool, who is a former anti-apartheid activist and veteran of Nelson Mandela's African National Congress, had recently spoken in a webinar hosted by a South African think tank. His remarks touched on issues of race, political identity, and the role of figures like Elon Musk in shaping nationalist rhetoric. Rasool described Musk's engagement with far-right circles in Europe as part of a broader dog-whistle strategy, appealing to those who view themselves as part of an embattled white community. His comments appear to have struck a nerve, particularly within conservative U.S. circles, prompting swift backlash. The expulsion of an ambassador is an exceptional step in diplomacy, typically reserved for cases of espionage or severe breaches of diplomatic conduct. In contrast, lower-ranking officials are more frequently declared persona non grata. South Africa's presidency responded with a measured statement calling the move regrettable and urging all parties to maintain diplomatic decorum. However, the rift goes beyond this singular incident. The decision follows months of deteriorating relations between Washington and Pretoria. In February, President Trump froze U.S. aid to South Africa, citing concerns over land reform policies that he claimed unfairly target white farmers. Just last week, Trump reignited tensions by offering South African farmers expedited U.S. citizenship, framing the issue as a matter of safety amid alleged land seizures. His remarks, posted on Truth Social, were widely viewed as an appeal to conservative voters sympathetic to the plight of white South Africans, a narrative echoed by high-profile figures like Musk, who has criticized South Africa's affirmative action policies as openly racist. South Africa's land ownership remains a highly polarizing issue, rooted in its history of apartheid-era dispossession. Today, white South Africans, who make up just 7% of the population, still control a disproportionate share of land and wealth, while black South Africans, who constitute 81%, remain economically marginalized. Some white communities claim they face reverse discrimination under affirmative action laws, fueling narratives that resonate with U.S. conservative cycles. However, many analysts argue that such claims overlook the deeper structural inequalities persistent in post-apartheid South Africa. Meanwhile, during a G20 event last month, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa acknowledged that U.S.-South Africa relations had taken a downturn since his initial wonderful call with Trump upon his inauguration. Russell's webinar further highlighted these tensions, describing the Trump's administration stance on diversity, immigration, and racial identity as part of a broader supremacy assault. His mention of the projected shift in the U.S. voting electorate, expected to be less than 50% white in coming decades, likely exacerbated right-wing concerns about demographic changes in America. With the ambassador's expulsion making a significant escalation, the question remains, is the U.S. justified in taking a hardline stance against South Africa's diplomatic representation? Or is this a politically driven maneuver that risks further straining international alliances? Well, bringing you to the climax of the recent happenings around the globe. Tonight, we have breaking news from the home front. Tonight, a sad story from Pinyin as the colonial regime fails to extend condolence message to families of innocent children massacred by La République du Cameroon's army in Pinyin some 3 weeks ago. The silence from the colonial regime is deafening. The failure to extend condolences to the families of innocent children massacred by the La République du Cameroon army in Pinyin's local government, Mizam County, is a stark reminder of the systemic neglect and devaluation of Ambazonian lives. This is not an isolated incident, but rather a symptom of a broader issue, the marginalization and oppression of Ambazonians by the La République du Cameroon colonial administration. It was noted that the colonial army responsible for the massacre are rather being celebrated. Is it that Ambazonian lives don't matter? It's appalling that the perpetrators of the massacre are being celebrated instead of being held accountable for their actions. This blatant disregard for human life and dignity is a clear indication that Ambazonian lives are not valued by the colonial regime. The systemic inequities and injustice faced by Ambazonians are well documented. From the abduction and murder of local leaders like Roland Iwen to the forced displacement of communities, the La République du Cameroon's actions have consistently demonstrated a callous disregard for Ambazonian lives. The international community must take notice of these atrocities and demand accountability from the LRC. The Ambazonian people truly deserve justice, equality, and freedom from oppression. Their lives matter, and it's time for the world to recognize and respect their humanity. On February 23rd, 2025, the LRC army entered the Mbin quarter and shot at close range 6 boys in a drinking sport. Well, this is how they treat the lives of Ambazonia. Pathetic. Moving on, despite this continuous intrusion and aggression of the forces of occupation, the Ambazonia State Army are still unwavering with their efforts to defend the people at the home front. Just yesterday, Friday 14th, we received amazing images coming in from Bui. Let's take a look at this video.
Today, at the 14th of March 2025. This one a Major General Tokandu from Bui, Ambazonia State Army. We then alive for Mbiame. Now the small harvest this we don't bring them for Mbiame. We have see the big gun with the 2 magazine then. Asawala, wana, asawala, wana, asabuam, guam, asabuam, guam, esimi, where they will not carry their weapon. One spirit, one love, one spirit, one love, one spirit, one love, Sheshede.
Right there on your screen, a deadly explosion along Mbeseha ring. Reports recorded at least 5 La République du Cameroon forces killed in ambush by Boye County, Ambazonian State Army under the command of Major General Tarh Nsoh. On Friday, March 14, 2025, a significant military clash unfolded along the Mbeseha Ring Road. An illegal checkpoint set up by La République du Cameroon's colonial forces was decimated by heavy improvised explosive devices strategically concealed under their hut. At least 5 soldiers from La République du Cameroon's forces were killed, with only a few identifiable remains left behind. This operation marked a notable victory for the Boye County Ambazonia State Army, demonstrating their resolve in protecting their territory and civilian population from external threats, just 6 days after the launch of the federal government's draft. Masterminded by Major General Tarh Nsoh, the mission was executed with precision, resulting in a significant haul of military hardware and intelligence that survived the blast. Following the successful operation, all Ambazonian State Army personnel returned safely to their base, where celebrations and preparations for future strategies are underway. The Boye warriors have sent a stern message to the invading forces of La République du Cameroon, urging those deployed in Boye and across Ambazonia to surrender their weapons to the nearest Ambazonian State Army base. Compliance will ensure safe passage to a neighboring country, avoiding further conflict and loss of life. This courageous act by the Ambazonian State Army in Boye serves as a clarion call to the people of Ambazonia, as well as friends, supporters, and advocates of justice, freedom, peace, and liberty, and independence to renew their unwavering support. The Ambazonian State Army has expressed their clear determination to resist French Cameroon's intrusion and to expel the invading forces until they completely withdraw from the Ambazonian national territory. The biosecurity team encourages everyone to stay tuned and alert for further updates as they continue the crusades to enforce Ambazonian self-sovereignty. As Ambazonian Army are making us proud. A few days ago, we also got some images from Oyimojok, with the Ambazonia State Army invading a colonial military hideout. Let's watch this video.
Somani kamo ya unakam somande for this. Unamua. Na Dismantles top. Madam this. Somani kamo ya unakam somande for this. For inside. Nainda.
Right there on your screen, it's a victory once again for Ambazonia, as the Ambazonian State Army have successfully secured a significant victory against the French Cameroonian Army of Occupation in Oyimojok, a village bordering Biafra land. This ambush reinstated greater support for the Ambazonian State Army, fueling their momentum and commitment to resolve the conflict. The operation in Oyimojok resulted in the Ambazonian State Army confiscating Western supplied weapons used by French Cameroon occupation troops to commit heinous crimes against Ambazonian civilians. The Ambazonian State Army also neutralized Cameroonian troops in a standoff gunfight, showcasing their relentless strength and unity. This remarkable development reveals the ASA growing momentum, and the coming weeks may see a crossfire between the two armies. However, this conflict has resulted in significant human rights abuses, with reports of unlawful killings, excessive force, and displacement of civilians. The situation remains volatile, with the potential for further escalation. Even this morning, we received images from Federal Capital Territory from the Mountain Lions, the Ambazonian State Army in Fako, doing great again. They would have to take over more territories in the coming days as it would be in tangent to their courageous values. Let's take a look at this video.
Unachakara the control. Unachakara. Fako life. Fako life. Abokos. Abokos. Fall back.
This is the Ambazonia spirit. Strengthen the forces, spark some fire, and let's make some shake-off. This has to be the time the world gets involved in this struggle. There is fire every day. Looking at the military reports from Buyu to Oyimojak, it's a firm reminder the Ambazonian army are determined this time. With me tonight in the studio is my guest, Barrister Fru and Commander Elvis, the security commander, will be joining us via an audio call tonight. Good to have you on the show tonight. I believe right there on your screen, the images from the Federal Capital Territory, reports from Buyu and Oyimojak, all this happening just after the federal state draft. Barrister Fru, how do you feel watching this bravery from the Ambazonia State Army and the counties in Buyu?
Tabitha, thank you very much for another Saturday, for another invitation. I know that the commander will be able to give us a lot more detailed explanation as to what has happened. But I am delighted because for the past 8 years, we have been fighting a war against the Republic of Cameroon. Mr. Pierre and his troops were at one time thinking that the war is over, and yet they are still fighting us. They send troops into Bui, they send troops all over the place, and they don't expect us to fight back. I don't even know why they keep sending troops to Bui, because Bui is a lot of no return for the Cameroon army, and yet they are not learning a lesson. They keep going to Bui, mounting checkpoints and collecting and harassing the civilians and collecting money. That is a war crime. You are fighting a war in a war territory and you collect money from the civilian population. The army of that country, the Ambazonian State Army, will not allow you to continue to tantalize their civilian population. So they decided to mount an ambush, and yet that is what happened. Secondly, Manu is holding its own. Oyimojak is holding its own, and we are expecting a lot from Oyimojak, and more especially in all of Manu, Akwaya, Oyimojak, and Manfe Central, and Upper Baya. And we think that they are doing us proud. They are defending the territory from the invading forces of La République du Cameroun. That is what war is all about. The war is on and raging. We just finished a draft less than 6 days ago, and yet this is happening. That notwithstanding, we will continue to fight until we liberate the territory. I'm very delighted this afternoon to note that the Ambazonian State Army is defending the territory nationwide. Look, Tabitha, all of Ambazonia does not need to be fighting at once. In the days of South Africa, Soweto was fighting almost every day, and the rest of South Africa was not fighting as Soweto. But South Africa was still liberated. We are counting for our liberation this year. That's why I'm calling on everybody to continue to draft, because the Ambazonian State Army needs us. They need us to punish them with what it takes to defend the national territory. That is my take. Thank you very much. I'm very delighted this afternoon.
Barrister Fru. Commander Elvis, can we kindly hear your reactions to this?
Thank you, Vicar. Thank you very much. I want to first start by thanking Barrister Fru for his service and sacrifice to our great nation. You have been an exceptional leader, and I want to thank you for your continuous education to our people. Victor, thank you also for inviting me into this program. I want to also congratulate the Ambazonian State Army all over our national territory. In fact, as Barrister said, the month of March has been a remarkable month. We have recorded a quite number of successes in Bui alone. I think only this month of March we've had at least 20 La Republic terrorists sent to Akonolinga or to Sangmalima rather through the Akonolinga Express. We've had the attacks that you just mentioned yesterday, where Major General Tokandu deleted at least 5 La Republic terrorists that were manning a checkpoint. We had an attack, I think it was on the 9th, where also General Newsman attacked the prison in Tobin and deleted at least 4 of those La Republic terrorists that were in the checkpoint in the prison yard. Then we had another attack where Major General Viper also destroyed another ammo car using an RPG. Then we have another attack that Major General Tokandu again demolished another checkpoint, killing at least 5 La Republic terrorists again that were manning that check. So those attacks in this month alone have brought the number of La Republic in Bui to 20. This month also, we saw in Ngoktunja, we saw how the forces in Ambazonia State Armies in Ngoktunja under FM Sagon carried out another successful ambush, destroying an ammo car with all its contents. We estimate at least 12 elements of La Republic were inside that ammo car. None of them succeeded. So that is 12 already in Ngoktunja as well. Then we did not even mention Manyu, where we see our Amazonian State Army, doing a great job in Manyu. At least, 6 other terrorists there gone. Then today again, we talking about the Fako Mountain Lions. The great job there from General Sakat and his formidable team, deleting, and not just deleting, but making sure that they harvest weapons from the enemy forces. This is just a vindication that all those La Republic terrorists that are sent to Ambazonia, they are just sent to the land of no return. They are never going to go back, and they would always be better off if they could hand off their weapons to our Ambazonian State Army for safe passage into neighboring territory. We continue to offer them that opportunity to surrender and leave our land in peace. It is our land, and they have nothing to look for in Ambazonia. They cannot win the war against us. We are determined to fight till the last man standing, and we are only starting to gain momentum. We did promise the Ambazonian people that this moment was coming, that our forces are being trained on a daily basis. They're gaining more tactical knowledge, and as the days proceed, we continue to improve on our skills, on our capabilities. We continue to also upgrade our tools. We started with DIN guns. Now we are using sophisticated weapons where the enemy does not even understand what took them. So we continue to call on the Ambazonia people, like Fru John Nsoh had just mentioned earlier, to continue to support our Ambazonian State Army so they can continue to, provide or produce these good results that we see coming from the battlefield on a daily basis. We also understand that there will be moments when we would, maybe fall prey to these terrorists. But we are not even looking at that. We are determined that even with the losses that we're going to get, at the end of the day, we shall win the war. We understand that we're going to lose some battles along the way, and we will stay focused. So I want to thank the Ambazonian people for their continuous donations, for their continuous services, or sacrifices rather, making sure that they sacrifice financially. We want to thank those back at home that are also making sure that they provide intelligence and they become the ears and mouthpiece of our Ambazonian State Army. They see something, they say something. This has kept the population safe. It has kept our state army safe. And we continue to call on their continuous collaboration between the civilian population and the fighters. They are your sons and daughters, and they're there to defend you, defend your territory and her integrity. So we continue to plead with all sons and daughters of Ambazonia to provide intelligence wherever you find out about big terrorists manning an illegal checkpoint. Please provide that information to the nearest Ambazonian State Army for rapid action. Again, Tabitha, thank you again for inviting me over, and I just had to put out that little analysis. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Commander Elvis, for this remarkable analysis. This seems to be a period where the Ambazonian State Army are fired up over this long struggle. They are more determined than ever, and it may take a lot to ensure this courageous move is sustained. Commander Elvis, let me get your thought on this. How do we get them remain fired up on this just cause?
Oh, thank you, Tabitha, again for that great question. As you know, the Ambazonian State Army does not need much to be fired up. They're already fired up, knowing that La Republique is after their territory, killing and maiming our people, burning houses. That would make any Ambazonian of conscience to be fired up and want to defend her land and her people. So the only thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that we provide those that are at the forefront, the Ambazonian State Army, with the resources that they need to be able to defend our territory. They're already fired up. Yes, there are some battles that could knock us down, but when we fall down, we stand up, dust ourselves, and we change the strategy and we keep going. We are confident that over these years we've learned a lot. We've made some mistakes. We've also corrected and learned on how to proceed in a manner that is kind of frugal, that we would not lose lives. And I'm grateful for the fact that over this month, the Ambazonian State Army have not had casualties from the enemy. We've had some accidents, but we've not really had enemy La Republique ambush and kill any of our Ambazonian State Army like it used to be back in the 2017s. So obviously they have learned a great lesson, and with the new capabilities that they have, with their continuous training, with the continuous sharing of intelligence from the civilian population, they are more than ever determined to keep the job and to keep fighting more than ever to defend our people and to defend our land. So thank you again, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Commander Elvis. Amid other counties, the forces in Buyu seems to be more focused. How are they collaborating with the entire nation of Ambazonia? And how can other counties emulate this sheer level of bravery and confidence and courage?
Oh, thank you again. Great question there. As you know, every strategy always starts like a snowball. Sometimes you need to have a center where you start things off, and then you gradually kick it out to the entire population. We had the BLM at one time. That was our main focus. It was our pride. The enemy somehow used a divide and conquer tactic to be able to penetrate. Bui on the other side has been stable. The enemy has tried severally to be able to divide our forces there. But we have been able to understand, or the forces there have been able to understand that technique and have overcome. As of now, our unity remains our strength. Our Ambazonian State Army in Bui have made it categorically clear that we stand as a people. They stand as one, and that nothing would divide them. Anything that comes in between them, they would not allow that to happen. So they have stood strong. The Ambazonian State Army has a great chain of command under the leadership of Major General Tarh Paddy, very great service member. He is somebody that, as his name says it, he does what he says he's gonna do. We have other great leaders like Major General Viper. We have others like General Newsman that you hear them all the time doing great works. So these are great Ambazonian State Army that have also acquired the right trainings with the right material to be able to deliver these results. So other counties need to understand that for us to be able to function properly, they have to make sure that they create a secure environment for their Ambazonian State Army to be able to function as a team. Help them coordinate. We make sure that we inform the civilian population that we are in this together. It's not us against us. It is us against the enemy. And we need to provide, we have a saying in Bui County, which should resonate all across Ambazonia. That is, you see something, you say something. You hear something, you say something. So that is the catchword for our civilian population. They do have toll numbers that they are required to call if they see the enemy forces making any movements. We do have also intelligence surveillance teams that are spying the enemy at every moment, just like guard hawks, making sure that every move of the enemy is being transmitted directly to Ambazonian State Army, and we make sure that the enemy is not mobile in our territory. We put them indoors, just like Nsoh said in his book, Guerrilla Warfare. When the enemy is stationary, we torment him. When he's chasing us, we retreat. And when he's retreating, we follow him. We do not give them any breathing space. Some counties have slacked down. They have allowed the enemy to take their time and ambush them when they least expect. In Bui County, we're constantly chasing them, tormenting them, and not giving them any chance to breathe. So I want to encourage other counties to make sure that they carry out those actions as well. They can start with the training, train their personnel, make sure they understand that when you go out in the field and you train, you have more confidence. We have a code of conduct that our forces go by. These apply for the whole Ambazonian State Army, and that code of conduct are rules and regulations that guide them through battle and even when they're not in battle. So those code of conducts are something that help them get along well with the civilian population. So we continue to ask all counties to make sure that their Ambazonian State Army are trained, they follow these code of conduct, and that they're able to continue to have the resources to mount these spectacular actions. So thank you again, Tabitha, for that question, and over to you again in the studio.
Thank you so much for that amazing thought and perspectives. Barrister Fru, can we get your reaction and perspective to this?
Yes, thank you again, Tabitha. I am very delighted with the analysis made by Commander Elvis. I want to also bring to the attention of Commander Elvis that there are certain counties that are being taken advantage of by the invading forces. I take, for example, what happened in Pinyin massacre, the second massacre in Pinyin by the Cameroon forces. They knew that there was no Ambazonian State Army in Pinyin, so they went into Pinyin and opened fire on 6 boys that were sitting and drinking and killed all of them. That is massacre, and of course they will be investigated once again by the ICC. Because the ICC is now investigating the Republic of Cameroon. They are continuously creating massacres in our territory, particularly in areas that are close to them. Pinyin, you may want to know, is a frontline village next to the boundary, between La Republic to Cameroon and Ambazonia. And the gunning down of our 6 civilians is an act of desperation and despicable and against the international law and against the Rome Statutes as promulgated in Rome about genocide and crimes and war crimes and crimes against humanity. You take advantage of a civilian population, hide yourself, come in and mow down the civilians who are not armed, who have not invited you, who don't even know that you are around, because they are near your boundary. You cross over and you massacre them. That is unpardonable, and we will make sure that it is listed in the Ambazonian Genocide Library.com so that the ICC can also investigate. La Republic will tell you, oh, we are now investigating. They are taking advantage of a provision in the Rome Statute that says the government in place must first investigate and bring the people to book. If they don't do that, given a particular time, that's when the ICC come in. That will not delay the investigation. It is a gimmick for La Republic to think that they can mow down people and pretend that they are investigating. They are not investigating any shit. We will make sure that they are brought to book. Those 6 boys, their blood is ringing. It's ringing in hell, waiting for them. And I can tell you that La Republic of Cameroon will pay and will pay greatly. Thank you, Tabitha.
There, Barrister Fru, what is more appalling is the fact that these perpetrators are rather being celebrated rather than being taken accountable for their actions. And this poses the question that the colonial regime, they don't even matter. They don't even focus on the lives of these Ambazonians. They are not concerned. What's your reactions towards that?
Yeah, they are not concerned because they think that we are slaves. They think that they conquered us. They think they can just do anything. Even in the dying minute where they are sinking, they still commit genocide on our civilian population. They are running away from the Ambazonian State Army only to face vulnerable civilians who are right at the boundary with La Republic of Cameroon and Pinyin. And they are doing this in complicity with the fund of Pinyin. We will get him. We will bring him to book. They know why. Why would they invite La Republic forces to come and mow down 6 young people who have done nothing other than enjoy themselves? They were sitting and drinking. They didn't even know that there was any danger. They were in their village where they were born, where they grew up, where they went to school. And these idiots came in and opened fire on them. That is genocide by its definition. Killing of people because of what they are. La Republic of Cameroon is not ashamed. They will not even send a message of condolence to that village. They are not concerned. All they want is to eliminate us, to kill us and take our land. It will not happen. Commander Elvis and his people and his forces will occupy Pinyin. They will go up there. They will go and occupy that boundary between La Republic of Cameroon and southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. That will be done. They are just waiting for resources, and those resources are coming, Commander. We will make sure that every part, every land, every piece of land, every yard, every inch of land of Ambazonia is defended. Thank you very much.
Indeed, Barrister Fru, thank you so much for that powerful and remarkable reaction. Thank you once again, Barrister Fru and Commander Elvis, for joining us tonight on the show. It's been an amazing time, and we hope to have you in the coming days. This is where we'll be drawing the curtain on tonight's Flash News and moving it over to our news director, Mr. Tarh.
Once again, you're welcome back to Studio One, and I want to thank you, Tabitha, for that great coverage there. We're going to continue the coverage in Studio 2. I'm requesting for Commander Elvis to join me, Barrister Gana, and Barrister Fru here in Studio 1, so that we can extend the conversation. I understand that there is a front drive currently going on right now to inspire the fighters across the Goketunja-Bui axis for this bravery. Some government officials have opened a front drive. You need to participate. I will be giving you details as to why you need to participate. You might already, for those who started the program with us, you might already have been briefed that we're going to get into the whites or the breadth and the depth of the shifting global order tides and the current conflict in Ambazonia. Why Ambazonia is resisting the cruel invasion of La République du Cameroon. The world's order is changing. Governments are making new partnership. The others creating new relationships. And the U.S. foreign policy that the people of Ambazonia is having a keen interest, is having a twist also on many different grounds. Cho Ayaba a few days ago has probably been denied bail once again. It has been shifted probably to May. And his denial of bail declared by the Norwegian Justice Department that he is a flight risk have created some controversy. There are diverse points, different directions of the conversation. I'm going to leave that for the end because I know a lot of people want to know after the debate what is our opinion, what is the government perspective. I also believe that you would have watched the president's or you would have listened to an audio that the president sent out. Why I try to get our panelists or commentators connected, I would like you to permit me to bring to you the audio of the president responding to why the government takes or makes decisions the way they do. Stay tuned.
Fellow Ambazonian, I want to remind all of us that we will not always have the same opinion on issues, but to be united, we have to maintain the same goals. I say this to say that based on your experience, you might have a different opinion. Based on your intellectual training, you might have a different opinion. Based on personal circumstances, you're out of pressure or no pressure, your own sense of fairness, you can have a different opinion. All this can happen without you being a La République agent, to be fair. Now, citizens of a country, they tend to look at things from a narrow perspective, narrower than the perspective of the government, because the government is the government of the people. That means it's the government for everybody. The government for the good, the bad, and the ugly. The government is the father in the polygamous home, father of everyone. If you go to a country, the citizens of a particular locality might have a different perspective from government because they see everything from their own lenses, from their own circumstances, from their situation. The government sees the country from the air. They see every nook and cranny of the country, and the interest of the whole nation is their focus. But for us, individuals outside the government, including activists, they see things from a narrower perspective. They see it according to their experience, according to their personal values, according to their training and learning, according to their own sense of fairness, according to how it touches them, it affects them in one way or the other. In that case, I want to talk to our comrades in prison, who may be anywhere. The government sympathizes with anyone who is suffering out of, who is innocent, who is suffering and is innocent, who has fought diligently, sacrificially for his country, for his people, and finds himself in the dark net of the enemy or whoever. And today is paying a hard price for love of country, for his patriotic acts or her patriotic acts. The government sympathizes and is ready to fight for such. But if there's anyone amongst us called the Southern Cameroonian and Ambazonia who inflicts pain on his own people, from Meme to Manyo, from Mezam to Momo to Bui, just to name a few, if there's anyone amongst us who takes delight to inflict pain on our people. We should understand that the government is the government, not only government for the perpetrators, is also the government for the victims. That's why we cannot talk about justice for the perpetrators without talking about justice for the victims. As the government, of course, as citizens can decide to see it from your own perspective and have your own opinion. But as a government for everybody, we cannot be in solidarity with the perpetrator and not be in solidarity with the victim. So, if not that this matter is being brought up, it's unfortunate, but when it comes up, especially from people that are very respected in Ambazonia, you force me to come out and address it too. The least or the most the government can do to a perpetrator, to somebody who deliberately afflicts his people with pain, real pain, the most the government can do when that person is in trouble is to be quiet. Because I'd rather be quiet than to open my mouth and tell a lie just to defend the indefensible. Because I will be doing justice to one and injustice to others who are even more in number. If government is the government of the people, then it's the government for all. So I chose to be quiet. And if we are talking of solidarity with some who decided to go the route of excesses against our people, if we decide to talk at this time, it will not be good. It won't be good. So chose to be silent and let it be so. Because first, don't understand what solidarity means. Does solidarity mean we'll contribute money to help such? Does solidarity mean we'll go and write protest letters and organize protest marches and say the things are not true? I want to tell you that some of the issues that caused the arrest of some of us, they are witnesses that came from the ground. Those witnesses were not fabricated in the diaspora. That's by what I know. So, and when you are 7,000 miles away and things happen on the ground, you are technically incapable of being in charge. But when you come out and in first person admit that you did it, that you are in charge, what do you want us to do? To say what you said wasn't correct or what you did was right? For me, it doesn't make sense. Sometimes certain things happen, so we learn. We that are observers learn. We that remain learn. Prosecute the struggle with a greater sense of diligence, knowing that we are not somewhere in a Kiliwindi or in Jekwa prosecuting the struggle. We will learn. We will learn. Some lessons are learned without pain. Others are learned the hard way. They all we learn. So when a citizen is giving an opinion, it's not a directive. It's an opinion. And when the government making statement, don't make statements opinion, they're making policies. Our policy is justice for all our citizens. That's our policy. We stand for justice for all our citizens. If any of our citizen is hurt by any one of us and the citizen comes to us and complains, we will deal with it squarely. If he did not complain to us because we don't have the judicial powers and they complain elsewhere, we will encourage the justice system anywhere in the world to do justice, to do just that, the right thing. Thank you. Just from the desk of the president.
Wow. Wow.
That was an amazing take there by the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Barrister Mbeseha, Barrister Fru, Barrister Gana, and Commander Elvis. You are all welcome. I think that should be the starting point of the conversation before we even I want, because we're going to do some fundraiser for not just Bui this evening. We'll be doing fundraisers for some things. I believe that having Barrister Gana on set to have this conversation is important. He was a leader across the entire Momo for a long time, and he has a lot to say. And this helps us in conjunction with the changing or the shifting global order right now and the conflict in Ambazonia. We have seen the rhetoric of the West and many states actually purporting to stand for oppressed. And there's a question, the people of Ambazonia are also being oppressed. We've seen people talking about, you heard one of the reports there from Tabitha, with the United States of America standing for the whites in South Africa because they are the minorities and purportedly being oppressed. And we are hoping that something will happen to Ambazonia. So for a long time, we've not had you, Barrister Gana, and it's important that we have you today. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, and it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to serve our people.
It's a pleasure to be on set with Commander Elvis and, of course, the veteran barrister Fru Nsoh. So we thank God for the passion that we have. We thank God for the opportunity to be able to guide, to inform, and to be of service to our people here. So it's an honor.
So once again, I just want to thank you, Barrister Fru and Commander Elvis, for the tremendous. I was watching you guys there with Tabitha Ako, and I didn't want it to stop. The analysis, the news delivery, and everything was simply amazing. And we'll get back to that at the end. So let's get into what is serious. Just a few days ago, the Norwegian justice system has indicated that Cho Ayaba is a flight risk, and therefore bail has either been denied or shifted. And based on the comments that are made, if you go through if you have to go through the case and the way it is being reported, there is no evidence that he might even get bail in come May. But there are two sides of the story. There are some Ambazonians that are trusted and considered as a leader. That's where you had the president actually coming out to give government position. They feel like, okay, Ambazonians should show some sympathy and probably stand with Cho Ayaba as an Ambazonian born. This is critical. It's very sensitive the way we as a government manages the story. I'll begin with you, Barrister Gana. What do you think about the various sides of this conversation?
The first thing I will say is that even when you are the oppressed, even when you're fighting to emancipate yourself, there are certain rules that you must follow. And when you're fighting to emancipate your people, the people that your focus should be most on to protect, to emancipate, are your people that you are focused on emancipating. You should try to do as much as possible to prevent harm from coming to them. We're all Ambazonians, and it doesn't serve us to dance around facts. It doesn't serve us to dance around the truth. The truth is that Mr. Cho Ayaba led an organization, the ADF, that has been more of oppressing our people than emancipating our people. As the LGA chairman of Mogamo and as the county chairman of the Momo area, there is abundant evidence. The whole of our place is a crime scene for the crimes of the ADF. We remember the incident at the Guzang Market Square, where ADF guys brutally shot 2 indigenes from Guzang at the Market Square. And Mr. Cho Ayaba came up with a video taking ownership of that brutal, criminal, and heinous incident and promising that more was going to come. We remember when Mr. Cho Ayaba arrogantly stated that Mogamo indigenes will be forced to pay a liberation tax. We do remember that when General Ivo passed away, it hadn't even been 24 hours. His blood even hadn't dried up when Mr. Cho Ayaba picked the heinous, the brutal General Efang to take over persecuting the people of Mogamo, persecuting the people of Momo out there. So if you add up Cho Ayaba's pronouncements, if you add up his transgressions against the Ambazonian people, if you look at all of those transgressions through the eyes of the law, through the eyes of the laws of war, through the eyes of the Geneva Convention that protects the innocent, that defines how people are supposed to conduct themselves in battle, then you will realize that Mr. Cho Ayaba
practically walked himself into arrest. It was either going to be Norway or Germany or France or some other nation that was going to arrest him. And again, I'm going to testify here in front of Barrister Fru Nsoh that when we worked for 6 months, passionately, relentlessly, to put together the file which the ICC now has, to put together the complaint, about a 164-page complaint against the ICC. We debated seriously if to identify Mr. Nsoh Ayaba as a perpetrator of genocide. But we did not want to be the ones putting Mr. Nsoh Ayaba in that position where he would be arrested. So despite the fact that we didn't do it, we knew that a rising tide was going to lift all boats. We knew that in holding those who have been killing in Ambazonia, the Atanga Njis, the Paul Bias, the General Nguinis, and you name it, all the commanders of the French Cameroon army, we knew that in investigating all of them, Nsoh Ayaba was going to be caught in that dragnet, because it is no stranger to us that Nsoh Ayaba is most, not even most likely, is absolutely guilty of some of those crimes he's been charged of, not through what we suggest, but through his own actions and through his own words. And one of the reasons why it's going to be very tough for the Norwegian authorities to give him bail is because his own words are unambiguous. His own words are non-contradictory. His own words are what we call in law direct evidence against him. And if you study the subject in law called evidence, you realize that the well is abundantly full with evidence, not just to have arrested Mr. Nsoh Ayaba, but to keep him there for a long time. So regarding his presence there and the circumstances, that's my comment, that's my take. I regret that somebody who could have been part of the struggle, somebody who could have been directing our forces pointedly against La République, somebody who could have been directing forces against the LRC perpetrators of genocide, instead went the other route of helping to kill, to maim, to oppress our own people, regrettably.
Barrister Fru.
Yes, Paddy. Before I say anything, I would like to concur with what my junior colleague has just presented. That is what we considered when we were filing at the ICC. And I thank you very much, Barrister Gana, for that excellent analysis. Let me dissect a little bit of what the president said. I did not hear the president say that we should sympathize with those who are oppressing our people. At the same time, I heard him say we should be quiet and let justice take its course. The government remains quiet. The government doesn't take any position because you did it to our people. We didn't have an enforcement agency. We had nothing. We could not do anything on you. Let justice everywhere and anywhere take its course. Ayaba, let me tell you, from the time I started this fight, from the All Anglophone Conference up to when I started on televisions in the city of Douala and until I got here, Ayaba has never killed one. His forces, the ADF forces, have never fought a battle against La République du Cameroon. They're all the victims of this gentleman, Ayaba, are all Southern Cameroons and Ambazonians. Beginning with the first sous-prefect he killed in Batibo, with the first, with another government official, La République government official who was an Ambazonian. He killed them, desiccated the bodies. Nobody knows where they are, and that's not all. He killed a lot of Ambazonian military leaders. I can think of General Biabia, I mean, those ones that he killed in Gusang and buried General Biabia alive and killed him. He killed Chacha. He killed a lot of our people, military leaders. He has done so much evil on our people. And if I listen to the president very well, we do not have an enforcement agency. We remain quiet when justice is being brought on people like Ayaba, who pretends, I'd like to say it clearly, he pretends to be an Ambazonian. But I know from the village that he claims he comes from, he is not from there. But that is a story for another day. Nobody has a right to intervene. No Ambazonian will intervene in the cause of Ayabacho. He has to paddle his canoe. And lastly, I am expecting that Norway cannot yield to any judicial system except the ICC. If the ICC demands this gentleman, I can tell you, Paddy, and all the panelists, that the ICC, the Norwegian government will yield to ICC and send this man to The Hague. Because if this man is expecting any bail from the Norwegian authorities, he will not have it. I have lived in the Western world to know what bail means. Bail is a given. But when they refuse you bail several times, it means that you can never have it. This is the first time he's being refused bail. And I am very sure, knowing the judicial system of the Western world, I'm sure that the Norwegian judicial authorities are preparing his trial. And he should rest assured that he will not see the light of day until he answers to all the heinous crimes he committed on our people. Crimes against humanity, war crimes, and genocide. You cannot take two young people, put them in the market square, and shoot them to death. And in open air, and declare that you did it. And declare that you did it. Declare that you did it in front of the world. The world cannot accept that kind of brutality wherever it's coming from, not even from Africa. And this is the gentleman. And anybody who sympathizes with him, I thank God for you. But let me tell you,
and that's how ISIS behaves. The ISIS, you don't, even when you arrest a person, you don't kill them on camera. It is against Geneva Convention, because that traumatizes you. You have not only done a crime by arresting somebody who is vulnerable and killing, you have affected the community because they are going to be traumatized. So what Ayaba did, he took two men in front of their women and their children at the Gusang Market Square, and because they wanted to intimidate the people for submission so that they give them the taxes, like you heard Barrister Gana saying, and shot these people in front of their brothers, their sisters. I don't want to show that image because it's kind of traumatizing, and every other person. This is terrible. And Cameroon has done that. Cameroon took Sam Sawyer, the crippled man,
and cut his neck
in front of his wife and children, just so they could intimidate us to stop the resistance against their occupation. I'm going to come back to you, the lawyers, but I want to talk to Commander Elvis of Bui, who's working with the entire military team every day to enforce something on the ground. There are challenges even in Bui, and as the government is trying to create a federal strategy for all. Commander Elvis, I want you to talk to us if you can hear me. What are some of the challenges you'll be facing on the ground to organize a genuine resistance against French Cameroon occupation due to Ayaba's involvement and the ADF? Please, can you share some of that with us?
Oh, thank you, Commander Paddy. And I want to start by thanking our great barristers in the house, Barrister Fru and Gana. Thank you all for your contributions. I have been listening keenly. and I do agree with what both barristers have said. Um, However, I have a peculiar take on this aspect. I would probably make it clear or make it known that my take is this. From the very onset of this revolution, La République has been looking for somebody, or mechanism or way to attack us as terrorists. And they had used Ayabacho to that extent. First, by him going on air and claiming all those, terrorist acts that were committed on on a violent civilian population. Were acts, as you just mentioned, where they go into the civilian population and they intentionally perpetrate those heinous crimes against civilians and civilian non-combatants, with the goal of furthering their ideology. Those are all terrorist acts. And when somebody claims that, that person becomes, or that group becomes, known as a terrorist group. And that is what La Republic had been trying all along to attack us with. Because they understand that, especially us in the diaspora, that is the only stigma that the international community can adhere to. And maybe it will also scare most of us. And all along, that is why I believe that La Republique, as ADF as their proxy, they have been pushing for ADF to become the face of the Ambazonian struggle, so that once Ayaba, as he is now being held for these terrorist crimes, they would now project him as being the leader of the Ambazonian struggle, and that would gradually capitulate our God ordained struggle. Thank God that we saw that coming a long time ago. Some people shouted, screamed, yelled, but nobody heard them. But going through everything, he did pass a duck test. They say if it looks like a duck, it swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck, then it probably is a duck. For those that have been long enough to understand the history of the ADF, this is definitely a duck that we're talking about. Um, it has been a challenge, honestly, because unfortunately, I would have to say most of the fighters that were recruited to fight, some of them being ignorant, did not understand even what the ADF stands for or stood for. They were just there to defend our people, and they fell into the wrong hands. There were a few of them that understood what the ADF was all about. So in Bui, we were able to convince some of our brothers that were so ignorant of that, to educate them early enough to understand that aspect, and that is how we're able to even get some of them out of that group.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, we after especially after we lost our great FM Chacha. The situation that transpired before he was being killed. It was just also the quest for the ADF to be able to conquer and take over Bui, because they saw Bui as a land of warriors, and they could not stand the fact that other forces were in control of Bui other than their forces. So, them
yeah,
being La Republic proxy, they had to find a way to take over, take charge. So, their only goal was to kill Charger and take over. But that the tables quickly turned on them, and knowing what the story looked like after, ADF became, started declining from that time henceforth. Big number retreated, or La Republique helped him to escape from Bui. He was able to go back to Momo and regroup and started up again. It wasn't that long until he fell by the same sword that he was using to kill his people. Long story short, I believe that the challenge has been for us to properly educate our forces, make sure that, like I mentioned earlier with Tabitha, that we start as a snowball. We make sure that we train a small group, we expand, even if it's a 5-man team, we expand to 10, 15, make sure that they remain committed, they remain dedicated, and we make sure that we give them the right knowledge and ideology. Because, let's say, a soldier who has no political ideology is basically, somebody that's going to be, oh, how can I term it? An antagonist or somebody that's going to be fighting against the state tomorrow. So we make sure we educate them properly, give them the right political knowledge, we give them the right code of conduct so that they understand, first and foremost, that they're fighting to defend our people. They're not fighting against our people. They are a team. And that code of conduct, as I explained earlier, they're just principles that guide our warriors in war, so that they themselves understand that they would be held accountable if they commit any crimes that go against the civilian population. So these are the kind of things that we have done to be able to minimize some of the infighting. We didn't just do it without fighting. We had to fight some battles with them. Unfortunately, uh, they're not those kind of things that somebody would like to say on air because lives were lost. And there were some cases where our forces had to take head on. But at the end of the day, we discovered that going head on would probably would not help us, because at the end of the day, some of these our sons and daughters joined this group ignorantly, and we just had to educate them out of there. So that has been a challenge, and I'm thankful that the boy is where it is today. Uh, Thanks to the fact that some great minds prevailed, thanks to the fact that our warriors on the ground were able to heed to advice, and majority of them even stopped listening to some of these ADF psychopaths. We had the likes of maybe Capo Daniel, who now I don't even know where he stands. He was one of those that spewed that nonsense. And these are those people that have been able to radicalize some of these fighters down there to be as we know. But again, we are grateful because that level of infighting that we saw has declined. Our forces are now able to move around freely and go areas. So that's why you have been seeing these great actions too that are coming, especially from Bowie County, because that level of infighting has declined. Thank you again, barristers, and thank you,
That's quite amazing
everybody.
achievement there, Commander Elvis. I'm going to get back to you because you just mentioned something about when they failed to gain ascendancy in Bowie, they had to go and create Momo somewhere around Mogamo, to be precise, was their hub. We'll get back to that. I want to go to the lawyers because that has to inspire Ambazonians. For Ambazonians that are listening, you just listen to the defense chief of Bowie County. The mindset tells you why Bowie County has not just been consistent in making Ambazonia proud, but the mindset of the leadership of a county is very important. I enjoy talking to him and to Shey Yimbu all the time. They're not only very loyal to the government and to the people of Ambazonia, the mindset. Bowie is telling us that we need to be careful when we are choosing leaders in counties. I know the other advantages they have. I'm coming now to you, Barrister Gana. The president in his audio, and this is the political aspect of it, a rhetoric, he says for him to even stand up and take a side, he spoke for like 6 minutes, talking about the oppressed Ambazonians that have become victims of this warlord, Ayaba, and those who are now sympathizing because he's an Ambazonian born. There's a video I'm going to play of the president shortly, but the president says the best position that the government can take, not this show, because we need to educate the world and the people of Ambazonia what is the truth of the matter, because these are legal issues that could jeopardize our movement or could propagate it. But the president believes that government at this particular instant would have to stay silent. How do you think that position is strategic? I get it on you, Barrister Gana.
I totally 100% agree with the president that as a government we need to be silent on it. But before I comment on why we need to be silent on it, let me reiterate some of the things that Commander Elvis said, and let me add a little bit of beef to it. When he spoke about the actions by the ADF to destabilize the true forces of resistance in Ambazonia, to destabilize the forces of the federal government of Ambazonia, he spoke about that incident where the leadership of the ADF, Cho Ayaba, sent General Efang to go to Bui and sniff out General Chacha. And through that interaction, General Chacha got killed. And when I saw how General Chacha was killed, as somebody who is from IT and somebody who understands telecommunications engineering very well, and who understands trace route applications when it comes to telecommunications and cell phone technology, I put out an audio out there advising our forces not to get in close proximity with ADF forces out there. And that probably saved the life of Grandpa in Bali. And what I think they had done with General Efang, remember they caught General Efang with a lot of equipment, technological equipment. And I would allege that these technological equipments were sent by La Republique. They were using the ADF, they were using General Efang to go out there. And I think when they went out to Bui and they sought the audience of Chacha, they were able to, through these telecommunications equipments, get the MAC address of his cell phone number, which I would allege that they probably did pass on this MAC address to La Republique. And if you remember, and Commander Elvis will attest to it, within about a week of that incident happening, General Chacha was tracked down and killed by La Republique forces. So they used telecommunications equipment to track down the MAC address of his phone. And they tried to use this same method of technology when they went to Bali. Again, they sought out Grandpa, and immediately we saw what happened in Bali. We put out an audio and reached directly to Grandpa to ditch all the telephones that he had. And that probably saved Grandpa's life, because I think from that encounter between Efang and Grandpa, they probably had his MAC address. And it was just a matter of time before the Cameroon army could now then track his location. And how do they do that? Now they get your MAC address, and through the satellite, they can track your movements, they can track your voice, and at the opportune moment, they will swoop in and they'll kill you. You have to remember, this is the same way that Savimbi was killed in Angola. You know, the CIA allegedly passed his MAC address to the Angolan government, and the Angolan government was able to track General Savimbi in the forest in Angola and kill him. So the ADF has really been an ally of the oppressive forces in Ambazonia. The ADF has really been an ally of the Cameroon army, eliminating the true fighters in Ambazonia. So the reason why it's very important for the leadership of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia to stay silent is because there are a lot of people out there who are still supporters of the ADF. There are a lot of people out there who would not want to believe that the ADF was really colluding and collaborating with the government in Cameroon. So for us to now take a position against Cho Ayaba would alienate those people sometimes unnecessarily, because through grace, some of those people can still become converts and come back to the federal government of Ambazonia. Let's not be the hand that is persecuting Cho Ayaba. His cup is full from the uncontroverted direct evidence that exists against him. Let him dance in his own music. And as part of the leadership of the Mogamo LGA, and talking directly over the past few years to some of our champions defending our people against the Cameroon army, I have direct occurrences. I know of direct occurrences where the ADF was going and baiting the forces of the federal government, and they would bait them out of their hideout, and when they would come out of their hideout, the La Republique army would be waiting to ambush them, and that led to the death of quite a few fighters. So the litany of Cho Ayaba's activities are pretty wide. And again, speaking with somebody like Barry Nsoh and Commander Elvis, and even you, Comrade Paddy, on this show, you guys know how sacred our tradition is. You guys know that irrespective of what is going on, of our people resisting against the government of La Republique, there is still a certain respect. There's still a certain honor that we give to our chieftaincies. But what was Cho Ayaba's opinion? Or what was his approach? Threaten the funds, kidnap the funds, kidnap Prince of Funds, desecrate funds, promise mayhem to fundoms. So the evidence against him, and it's all out there in public, in audio, direct, unambiguous, uncontroverted evidence. So with all of that evidence out there, there is no need for the leadership of the federal government to mire its hands in what is going on in Norway. All we have to do, as Barry Nsoh has so articulately pointed out, is to stay back and let justice play its course.
Master Fru.
Thank you very much, dear colleague. You have just nailed it. Let justice take its course. Ayaba Cho's cup is full. I am the Attorney General of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. In all intensive purposes, if I had opportunity, I would prosecute Ayaba Cho. But now we have no enforcement agency. The only option we have now is to stay quiet and let justice take its course. And that is why 100% I am in support of what the president said. Let those who sympathize with Ayaba Cho continue to cry to the high heavens. Justice will take its course. Norwegian government has a very rigorous judicial system. They have a very fair judicial system. They have a very, very fair prison. Ayaba Cho is not suffering in prison. He is being taken care of. All I am saying is that Ayaba Cho will answer to all the crimes he committed on the Ambazonian people. And all the money and the arms he was receiving from La Republique of Cameroon to oppress our people, he will pay through his life. Another thing, he has accomplices out there. He has Capo Daniel, he has Ashu Lucas, his present spokesman. Yeah. He has Pascal Titi, and a couple of others. They think that they are free, and they can be talking. Some are talking against Ayaba, some are talking for Ayaba, but that doesn't extricate them from the crimes they have committed on our people. If the Norwegian authorities do not get his accomplices out there, when the time will come, when the bells will ring in the ICC, those accomplices will be fished out and brought before the courts. Let's not kid ourselves. The world is a global village now, and everything that you do in the world is being mirrored, and the world is seeing all of us. Let Ayaba Cho carry his cross. The government has taken a very sharp and intelligent position that we will not make a statement. I didn't hear the government say we should sympathize with him. I as a member of government, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I will sympathize with Ayaba Cho. I want Ayaba Cho prosecuted anywhere, anyhow, anywhere in the world that he can be prosecuted. Because he has buried a lot of my people. Chacha, Iltibu, you can name them. Jana Biadia, Jana Nomba. There are many. And to crown it, General Ivo, a son
and
of
I would say his actions actually gave leverage for Cameroon propagandist media to divide us, because you had even the guy who wants to become president now, Pastor Ambe, used that to say that we are now killing our own people. So like Commander Elvis has decoded the plan. Commander Elvis just said something I want to repeat again to amplify so that the world can hear. He said something. Cameroon, he suspected from the origin, because Ayaba Cho didn't have logistics, didn't have anything. But the media in the Cameroons kept on projecting him as a leader. That is a man who could barely raise 10,000 in the diaspora. Just last week, the president raised close to 50,000 US dollars for only 3 hours. No leader in, no frontline leader in Ambazonia for the past 3 years has been able to raise money. That's how you can measure leadership of a liberation movement. But the media and the Cameroon, that's why this program is very important, because these are discussions that you find nowhere in Ambazonia or in the Cameroons. We are the only ones that get into the crux of this. So Commander Elvis has helped explain to the world today how Cameroon manipulatively was trying to project Cho Ayaba as leader, and then for us to get to this point where we be tagged terrorists. That's a critical thing. We're going to get into that aspect of the global tides. But to crown this discussion, I want us to watch excerpts of the president's statements when Cho Ayaba was arrested on 2 separate occasions during important moments in the nation of Ambazonia, during the Independence Day celebration, and when the president was ushering us into this year. This was what he had to say. We'll be back.
Dear comrades of the resistance, we have received reports that a certain southern Cameroonian has been arrested in Norway by the government of Norway for suspicion of committing crimes against humanity. We hope that that arrest was not politically motivated and that the suspect shall be judged under Norwegian law, not Cameroon law. Inasmuch as we do not condone the gross acts of atrocity crimes allegedly committed by the ADF, we expect the justice system of a universal jurisdiction like Norway to respect the rule of law, respect the rights of all her citizens to a fair and speedy trial, and consider every suspect innocent until proven guilty. So let the law take its course. We know that the innocent is vindicated, and the criminal only goes down or goes under where the law is correctly interpreted without fear or favor. We would like to remind the Kingdom of Norway that Mr. Ayaba Cho Lucas, in their custody, is an Ambazonian, so he must not be judged or tried by the laws of La Republic. He should be tried by the EU laws and relevant international conventions. Remember, justice delayed is justice denied. Also, since Norway has taken interest in getting justice for our people, they should, for a balance, consider our petition too, that is before their court since 2020. The state of Cameroon is the same as the state of its president, a total wreck. The so-called #1 economy in Semak region is now in shambles, with a catastrophic devaluation looming in the air for the CFA this year.
It couldn't have been said. It couldn't have been said any better. Maybe you gentlemen want to give a brief commentary there so we can move on with the conversation. I begin with you, Barrister Gana.
Yeah, I think the president was right on target, pretty eloquent about it. Norway is a pretty independent nation, and again, Norway has its own laws. And like the president rightly said, Norway is a country that accepts ICC jurisdiction. So crimes that the ICC can prosecute, Norway can prosecute them under ICC jurisdiction. And Norway does not have to transfer Mr. Ayaba to the ICC because they already accept ICC jurisdiction and they can prosecute him there. Just like Senegal accepted ICC jurisdiction under the case of Hissène Habré, and Hissène Habré was prosecuted in Senegal. So, and the president also mentioned something. He was prodding the Norwegian authorities to also not just look at Mr. Ayaba's case, but to also consider the case that we filed regarding the crimes of the Cameroon government, listing all of those criminals within the Cameroonian government who have had direct responsibility in killing, maiming, displacing our people, burning villages, committing all types of genocide against the Ambazonian people. We've cataloged all of that. We've listed all of the government officials, the ministers, the generals, the commanders, the head of the prisons. They have about a 164-page file with pictures, with a video evidence that we send to them. The president is urging the Norwegian authorities to not just consider Ayaba, but also to look at that file, that they may also start investigating and prosecuting these loose cannons within the Cameroon government who have been committing all types of heinous, brutal, genocidal acts against our people. So thumbs up to the president for doing that. And thumbs up for him articulating that we should leave it to the rule of law and let the rule of law play its course. So over to you, Barrister Fru Nsoh.
Yes, my dear colleague and Paddy, let me inform you that that file in Norway is alive and well. But you know, there are jurisdictional problems. If a member of La République de Cameroon who is on that list is not found on the Norwegian territory, you can be sure that Norway cannot, and it cannot go to Cameroon or anywhere else to arrest the perpetrators that we mentioned in that file. But La République officials have been very, very careful not to visit the Norway in any shape or form. Because if they did, the prosecuting attorney of Norway will pick you even at their airport. You're already in their jurisdiction. That file is not dead. Even though one of our coup plotters called Vance, who was supposed to be a victim mentioned in that file, became a coup plotter and took off and had abandoned the file there. But the prosecutor keeping that file with a reason until he can find an opening for jurisdictional action. He will not do anything.
Correct.
And that is my take. And remember, on that file, Macron is mentioned as a culprit. Buhari of Nigeria is mentioned as a culprit. So there are jurisdictional and political implications in that file. That notwithstanding, anytime that a La République citizen or Buhari goes on holiday to Norway, something is likely to happen. Until you find yourself in their territory, they don't have any jurisdiction to go after you in any other jurisdiction. Because they are not the ICC. The ICC has a larger net You remember that Cameroon is not a member of ICC. But what did we do, my dear colleague? We tied Cameroon to Nigeria because Nigeria committed a war crime by deporting those who were running away from prosecution because of a war from Ambazonia into Nigerian territory, and they became refugees and asylum seekers. What did Nigeria do? Nigeria deported them, connived with the Republic of Cameroon, and deported them so that they can be killed. That is a war crime. And because they committed that, we tied them and produced that judgment. You remember that?
Yes.
That means Cameroon now can be prosecuted along with Nigeria as people acting in concert.
Correct.
That is the way it is.
Correct. And
just apparently, you have a reaction there, please. Yeah.
Just to add to that, and just to expand a little bit on what Barrister Fru John is saying. In law, there's a concept of jurisdiction. Jurisdiction defines the authority of that government or judicial system to bring somebody under prosecution. And jurisdiction has what we call personal jurisdiction. And personal jurisdiction is you as that culprit making yourself physically available in the territory under which prosecution is being sought. And again, just to respond a little bit on what Barrister Fru John said, Cameroon submitted itself directly and indirectly to ICC jurisdiction when the Cameroonian government sent its agents to go into Nigeria, a country that is a signatory of the ICC. The Cameroon government sent its agents into Nigeria to commit a war crime by kidnapping those Cameroonians, the Taraba, I'm trying to remember the name of that hotel here, by kidnapping them on
the Naira Hotel. Naira Hotel.
Correct. The Naira Hotel, by kidnapping them and flying them back across international borders into Cameroon. And so in all our investigations that we did, look, because we could not file a case at the ICC and that case be accepted without demonstrating how the ICC had jurisdiction under Cameroon, which was not a signatory of the ICC. So through that loophole and through that legal nexus of Cameroon sending its agents into Nigeria to kidnap the Naira 12, we were able to then tie Cameroon to ICC jurisdiction through the nexus of Nigeria. And as Barrister Fru said, in such an articulate manner, the ICC was now able to accept that file and commence its investigations on the genocide in Cameroon. So again, thanks to Barrister Fru and to Barrister Mbeseha, and thank God for the time that we were able to dedicate daily, weekly, for 6 months to put all of that body of evidence together.
We're getting into something, talking about arrest here, and the things that are happening, case filing of cases, and so on and so forth. We having unconfirmed reports, which is what I'm trying to pull out so that we can process it very well together. We're having unconfirmed reports that Tapang Ibon Tanku, who had challenged this scallywag on the screen and Salai in court. Tapang Ibon took a case against Salai and won it. And Salah filed a case. Tapang Ibon is a smart young man, no doubt. When Salah filed a case against Tapang Ibon, it turned against him, and Tapang Ibon won the case in court. And Salah was asked to settle. Now, in the funny document that Salah revealed the other day that got us anger provoked, and we know that there was a case being filed by the government, and all those who have their names, the government is planning or has already probably filed it. The Attorney General should be giving us an update. If not, the many lawsuits on this guy is important. Barrister Fru and Barrister Gana, thank God I have the both of you here now. It's important that we talk about this. I've said this. In fact, it's like my prayer is being answered. I've been crying for the past 2 years. It happened when the case of my younger man, Eric Tato, is kind of different. But if you look, Salai make propaganda when Eric Tato was picked up. These guys have different opinions with us in the government. But this is the truth. It started with Chris Arno. This is a Cameroon proxy. He goes to Yaoundé, mounts a dossier, fraudulently takes money, and his line that is doing something. So he has to prove something. He filed a case at the time that Chris Arno was at his peak. This guy filed a case. Later on, he went to Tapang Ivor. I remember when Tapang Ivor had that document from Nsalai, I myself, Dr. Liz, at the time that was the chief of staff of the communications department, and Kuku Blinks, we invited all activists to think together and had the president, Dr. Sako, that was in 2018, to come and speak to all of the activists on the need for a formidable front. At the time, there was even more organization within the list and some things. All of the Mark Barrettas, I personally organized that meeting, and the president spoke to them. Tapang Ivor was in that meeting. This later on, towards the end of the meeting, Capo Daniel came and insulted the president, just disrupted the meeting. There was a plan for us behind Tapang Ivor. But this is what I want us to look at today. Tapang Ivor is filing a case at the federal court against Salai law firm for defamation, and he's asking only $100,000 US. That's an amount that I think is really small. I don't know how much you, the Attorney General, will be asking, but I'm coming to you, Barrister Gana. What do you think about this? And I'm thinking everybody whose name is found on that document should be making it hot for this proxy, because we need to also go offensive. We have been defending for long. They are arresting us, filing a case against us, and then we are defending. What do the both of you think before we go back to Commander Elvis to tell us what is happening in Bui and why they need some funds immediately?
All right. So the first thing I will say is that is a very smart move by Mr. Tapang Ivor to file that lawsuit against Barrister Salai. First, again, he filed it in the federal system due to what we call in law diversity of citizenship. Diversity of citizenship occurs when the plaintiffs or the defendants come from two different states. So when the plaintiff and the defendant, they come from two different states, or you have multiple plaintiffs or multiple defendants from two different states, then they cannot use just the state law in one state. So they have to use federal law to resolve that issue. And since Barrister Salai is in California and Tapang Ivor is in a different state, he filed that in federal court, which meets the bar or the criteria for diversity of citizenship. The other thing I want to say, or the second thing I want to say, is that I read that legal motion. And one thing that Barrister Salai needs to be very careful about is that there is a body of evidence out there that might suggest that he is a Cameroon agent. And within the United States, if you are acting as a foreign agent, you have to be registered with the United States government as a foreign agent. So that's something that both Ivor and Barrister Salai need to look at, because if he is acting as a foreign agent and getting paid by the Cameroon government without being registered as a foreign agent, he is violating the law. Now, when I read the charges that are being filed by Mr. Tapang Ivor against the defendant, Barrister Salai, there are a pretty good list of charges there, including defamation and specifically calling him a terrorist. Now, if somebody has defamed your character, and defamation is defined by something that is written in public out there that is injurious to your reputation. You know, if he's claiming this charge of defamation, then it is going to directly affect the ability of Mr. Tapang Ivor to earn money for the rest of his life. Because if you've put it in print, defame him that he's a terrorist, when he goes to apply for a job and they Google his name, they see him as a terrorist, they might deny him a job. So there is injury to his personality, which he needs to seek remedy for that loss. And as you rightly said, Comrade Paddy, and intelligently so, $100,000 is a pittance. Go for $2 million. Go for $3 million. Make the amount you're claiming impactful. $100 does not sum up to his life earnings. So that $100,000 is a pittance. Though, when I read the charges, he's also asking for punitive damages. And punitive damages might come in the millions if he so wins that case. So that is very, very important for us to take account of. The third thing that I want to say is that I want to talk to members of the Ambazonian community, because you said something, Comrade Paddy. You said, we have been playing defense for too long. We need to start playing offense. It is within the body of U.S. law that if your relative has been injured abroad, for example, injured in Cameroon by the acts of a perpetrator, in this case, the Cameroon army, you can file suit in U.S. federal court against the Cameroon government, and you can name specific people in Cameroon, in the Cameroon government, who are in command and control as defendants of that lawsuit. So that is a body of law in the United States, which us Ambazonians who have lost relatives or lost property in Cameroon or been injured in one way, shape, or form, and we can trace that injury, we can trace that aggravation to a command and control structure in La République du Cameroon, we can file lawsuit in the United States and hold those authorities accountable. So that's just what I had to say as a reflection and giving my opinion on this matter.
The only thing I'm trying not to be too hard on the Attorney General here is because I understand that the year started and the government is trying to crack through the White House to position the nation of Ambazonia. I happen to be privy of a lot that the government is doing that is worth a lot of money. So I'm trying not to be very hard on the Attorney General now. But I'm asking again, why are you guys wasting time? This is a bullet. This 2 years ago. After Fru, you knew when I went to court.
Paddy, hold it. Let me talk.
Yes, please talk.
The government is not the one to file the lawsuit. It's those people who were defamed and they are on that list. Some of which are our people. We have the list of our plaintiffs already. And we are still waiting for those who want to opt out or opt in, so that we finalize the list of plaintiffs. Secondly, Barrister Mbeseha, Barrister Gana, and myself, we will start working on preparing to file a lawsuit in the federal court in Washington, D.C., using the principles of diversity of the party.
Yes, because I know.
Listen, now let me finish.
Yeah. Go ahead, please.
That work is in progress, and I'm not going to talk about it on this network to give entire life a lot of ammunition to start preparing to fight us. We are going to fight, and let me also tell you that Tapang Ivor, his lawyer is not a fool. Asking for 100,000 doesn't mean a damn thing. He is going to amend that, amend the claim. You can be sure he's going to amend the claim, because the law allows him to amend the claim before he goes for trial. Therefore,
So
we are when I say we, me, Barrister Mbeseha and Barrister Gana, we are still compiling the list of the plaintiffs and to see those who are going to opt out and those who are opting in, so that we know, because we have a duty to defend all Ambazonians.
I do understand.
Tapang Ivo has opted out and has filed his own lawsuit in the federal court. That is fair and good. If there's anybody on that list who wants to opt out, he will let us know. And those who want to opt in, because there are people on that list who are hostile to this government. Therefore, we are treating everybody as a legitimate Ambazonian until you opt out. And when we do that, if you don't, we are giving you the opportunity. We are giving them the opportunity to opt in or opt out before we finalize. And we are still working on it. We have a jurisdictional time frame to work on it, and we'll work on it and we'll file it. Thank you very much.
Yes, let me come in there. I do understand that a few days after this, 3 days after that document was published, the president indicated that it was going to be an eligible or an alibi for a lawsuit against the Salai law firm. We came on this platform and we made that promise. And I was excited that everybody at one time is now accepting my opinion. Remember 2 years ago, I told the government that we cannot just sit and wait because I've not arrested the president. We should think of looking for a way of filing a lawsuit against Salai. And like I'm saying, it's good. Even if we say it here, let me finish by Fru. Even if we say it here, it doesn't matter. When I was going to file the lawsuit against the government too, I said it to the officers. I told them that, listen, this is my right to have abused, and I'm taking you, your institution, and the government to court. I remember I called Barrister Mbeseha at the time. They gave me more things, and they already knew a lawsuit was coming. So it is not. This is not something for intelligence. Father should be informed. He should prepare himself. A lawsuit is coming. There's no intelligence in this. This is a case that is very tangible and sweet for any lawyer to take on. Silence should be informed that a lawsuit is coming. Barrister Gana, maybe you want to say something quickly.
No. Before Barrister Gana, let me make one clarification. This Attorney General has had a black eye. When a matter was given to lawyers, American lawyers, hurriedly, without looking at the whole file, and we lost it, and we lost a lot of money. Okay, it's not going to happen. We are taking time to ensure that we cut all I's, all T's, and dot all I's before we file anything in this American court. And we are going to. It's not us filing. We'll prepare it, but our lawyers that we will brief will file it. And we will look for the best of the best in the area of defamation. I don't know whether you're getting me. We don't want to get to court. We don't want to get to court and lose. Just like that. It's not going to happen. Correct. There are many other legal matters. There are many other legal matters that Barrister Gana is working on, and we will join him to finalize. There are many. We are working, but we don't want to sit here and begin to give you a panoply of what we are doing. No. Yes. The law is an ass. It's very slow, but sometimes very, very sure. Thank you very much.
Correct.
Yeah, but
yes, but Comrade Paddy, I told you earlier that I would be able to be on maybe just for an hour because I have a flight to catch. You know, I'm
after this, I'm just gonna let you go.
But there's something I want to say before I exit, and I want to. There's something I ran across this past week, which I read. I know you are the host; you decide the subjects, but this is bearing on the legality of our case and
Yeah.
the ambient legality that surrounds our situation. And
Yeah.
I ran across an article that I read. Before I even talk about that article, I want to confirm with what the good barrister Fru Nsoh said in saying that there are a lot of things that we are working on that are going to be very earth-shattering as it pertains to our struggle. And we are taking our time. Things that go to the volume or to the degree of importance of that ICC filing. We are working on them, and you people will see them in the coming weeks. And we don't want to say anything about them because we don't want to give anybody any heads up on what we are doing. But let me talk about this article that I read. And I read this article about Britain having agreed with the government of Mauritius on the Chagos Islands. Britain having made an agreement with the government of Mauritius on the Chagos Islands. And this agreement bears on the fact that when Mauritius had its independence from Britain, Britain illegally retained sovereignty over the Chagos Islands, and the Chagos Islands include a certain key island that we call Diego Garcia. And as we know very well, the United States has a lot of military bases on Diego Garcia out there in the Indian Ocean. And the significance of this agreement that Britain entered into with the government of Mauritius is that what Britain did to Mauritius in retaining sovereignty over the Chagos Islands is exactly what Britain did to us in depriving our sovereignty and handing over our territory to French Cameroon. So the situation of the Chagos Islands, which include Diego Garcia, is same as the situation of Ambazonia, aka the Southern Cameroons, that was deprived of its independence. And what Britain has come around to doing is to agree with the government of Mauritius to transfer back sovereignty of the Chagos Islands back to the government of Mauritius, and for the government of Mauritius to accommodate Britain by allowing those military bases to exist on those islands. I think they've given them like a 99-year lease, which will be revisited after that. And the government of Britain, headed by Keir Starmer, even had to come back to the Trump administration to approve that agreement because we have American military bases on the island of Diego Garcia there. So when you look at the case of Namibia, when you look at the case of Eritrea, when you look at the case of Southern Sudan, when you look at the case now that is unfolding regarding the Chagos Islands, they speak directly to the issue of Ambazonia and to give our people hope out there, just like it happened in Namibia, just like it's happening on the Chagos Islands. French Cameroon has no legal treaty with Ambazonia that gives them any legal authority in Ambazonia. So it is a matter of time that the annexation of Ambazonia is going to unfold. So rest assured and be supportive of this government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, because we are pursuing the right cause. We are taking the right actions, and the body of law, the body of history, the legacy of the aftermath of colonialism is on our side. And La Republique can only run away from the law for so long. So I just wanted to inject that little event that is unfolding so that our people are informed and encouraged as well as inspired of the plight of our future. So I just wanted to inject that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Amazing. That is where you definitely should be kicking off. So I want to give you this last question before you move, Barrister Gana. I am currently in communication with the press secretary of the Prime Minister's office in Barbados. That's a brave woman. You know her, the lawyer. She calls herself the apostle of Bob Marley, and she stands in the United Nations and talks big. I've been talking with the press secretary for a while, and we are planning something with them, which I also cannot reveal in public. She's very interested. The Prime Minister in Barbados is very interested in our discussion. She has fronted moves like taking the British government to court for similar cases like what you've just mentioned. I am also suggesting to government that it is time for us to force some of the actors that were involved in the mortgage of Ambazonia to act like Britain through a lawsuit. I know an Ambazonian has done something and the government was interested, but this guy chose to make it his own. And that's the problem with some Ambazonians. Everybody's thinking about their name. Like the government is trying to put everybody together and Tapang Ayaba is doing it. That's okay. You must not do it under the government anyway. But this situation on Britain, I still think, I suggested this more than a year ago. I'm suggesting again, I think that the government should file a case against Britain. Britain cannot be muted, cannot choose to stay quiet, and is allowing the massacre and their unfinished job. You have Cameroon proxies are saying that there is a treaty of union that Britain enhanced, and Britain cannot stay quiet. How strategic is it in our diplomacy? And what are the legal possibility or openings for us as a nation to file a real lawsuit against the nation of Britain now?
Before he answers, before he answers, I would like to let him know that for us to do that, we will need a fiat, a political fiat. And I'm saying this because of what is happening right now. Go ahead, Barrister.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Barrister.
Yes.
Do you understand what I mean? Do you understand what I mean?
Correct. I do.
Yes, because you are very much inside, so you should know.
Correct. Britain is a key player that is going to have a major input in the evolution of our case. So the body of law is on our side. The body of history is on our side. But there are some technical considerations to examine and weigh before such an action is taken. Because the ultimate goal of our emancipation quest is to regain the sovereignty of Ambazonia and let Ambazonia, aka the Southern Cameroons, exercise its independence amongst the body of nations out there. And so there has to be some technical considerations that go into place to see if it is strategically important at this time, if it is strategically complementary to file a lawsuit against England, who would also be a key player in the evolution towards the regaining of our sovereignty. As Barrister Nsoh said, there has to be a fiat that has to occur, and we have to carefully examine that wall before crossing that bridge. So
thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
It's a lot of technicality involved here, but it's just like everything we do as lawyers. Everything we do has to involve strategic thinking. Like when we're thinking of, or when we're working towards filing this lawsuit in the ICC against the government of Cameroon, and technically decided that we should not include Cho Ayaba, it all worked out because we did not include him in that ICC filing, but he's behind bars. So there are some things that we're going to
you guys strategically included some of the things that he has done in the ICC. I get it. In everything we want to do, strategy is important. But Mr. Gana, yes. I will not be playing you justice to hold you much longer. We're getting to the last phase of this conversation. Maybe you have a closing remark before you leave.
I just want to thank all the forces out there who are defending our people, all those who are sacrificing life and limb to contribute towards the emancipation of Ambazonia. I want to piggyback on something which both President Trump and the Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said regarding Ukraine. That they can go back and forth. They can talk about treaties for minerals. They can talk about Russia's rise. They can talk about the old Soviet Union. But the position that the United States has taken in all of that ambivalence that is going on, the position that the United States has taken vis-a-vis Ukraine is that everything is on the table. Everything is on the table except Ukraine's sovereignty. That word sovereignty is very important. And there's a straight line that draws from the sovereignty of Ukraine to the sovereignty of Ambazonia to the sovereignty of Namibia. All of these lines interconnect. And I want to assure Ambazonians that when you see all of these international unfoldings, the sovereignty of Ambazonia is never going to be compromised. And this federal government is working very hard to ensure that it happens. And then there might be a lot of copycats out there. There might be a lot of groups and rumblings underneath who are just seeking power or seeking notoriety or seeking to grandstand themselves. Don't be distracted. Don't be deceived. Stand by this federal government headed by President Sako here, Samuel Sako, because he believes in the pursuit of our emancipation. He believes in the pursuit of our independence. And there are distractions that have come to him that could have made him waver. He is staying on course. And if you tie that to everything that is happening with the Chagos Islands, with Ukraine, with what happened in Namibia, be rest assured and give your full support, including financial, to the federal government, because the emancipation of Ambazonia is assured. The emancipation of Ambazonia is guaranteed. Not just because Ambazonia wants it. You see, our emancipation is not just because Ambazonia wants it, but for French Cameroon to survive itself, Ambazonia has to be emancipated. So thank you very much for this brilliant conversation this afternoon. You know I'll be back. And thank you for the work that you're doing. Thanks to Barry Nsoh, and thanks to all those who are contributing in any way, shape, or form. Thanks to Commander Elvis, who is doing some great work on the ground. We shall be free indeed. So thank you.
Thank you, Barrister Gana, for creating the time to be with us. Next week, we hope to continue Ambazonia and the shifting tides of the global order. We'll get into the intricacies on many different sub-regions and the different wars, the approaches on how the wars are being stopped currently, and the anticipation within these first 100 days. And we would like to have you join the conversation. Thank you very much. Before we go back to Bowie, where we're going to be telling Ambazonians on the need, there's a fundraiser. I know they have just drafted for the federal government, but there is a fundraiser currently ongoing to encourage them. You know that the federal government has a lot of responsibilities, and so they are picturing a lot of strategic things. You now see what's happening in Umoja, what is happening in Moyoka, the information coming up from Fako. You're seeing what is happening in Bowie, what is happening in Manu. The federal government is evenly distributed and strategically so. So there are some Ambazonians who are currently trying to motivate, talk and do, because I'm very happy when Commander Elvis gave to us a statistic of what has happened in Bowie. We have most of the images. You could see for the past 3 weeks, even before the federal government draft, Bowie has been intentional and has been very consistent. So before we get into that conversation, to ask a few questions and get your commentaries as we conclude, I want us to just enjoy some of these images and then we'll be back to have that conversation.
Today, on the 14th of March 2025. This one a Major General Tokandu from Bui, Ambazonia State Army. We did a live for Mbiame. Now the small have this, we don't bring them for Mbiame. We have see the big gun with the two magazine then. Asawala, wana, Asawala, wana, Asabuam, Guam, Asabuam, Guam, Esimini, where the day will be done the college away. One spirit, one love, one spirit, one love, one spirit, one love, Sheshede.
Unamua. Na Gizman talk. Na them this. Somebody cry for you when I come. Somebody for the cry. For inside. Nainda.
Unachakara the control. Unachakara. Fako life. Fako life. Abokos. Fall back.
So, Ambazonians, you have seen these are some excerpts, some amateur footages we're getting from a Umojok into Bui to Fako. Unfortunately, we couldn't bring some of the things that are also happening in Manu. But this is where I come back to you, Commander Elvis. This will be one of your concluding statements. You mentioned concerns. We know that the ADF had huge portions of Mezam and Momo as their hub. After they could not prevail in Bui and Manu, they couldn't. They had to rely on Mezam and Momo. And we know that there is some destabilization through a collective effort from the federal government, which you're implicated. What can you promise? You are not obliged to give to anybody any evidence or any strategic information that could be compromising. But what do you have to promise the Ambazonian people who are willing to fund these efforts? What should they be expecting? How much collaboration are you able to harness from these major counties? I'm talking about Momo, Mezam, that is sandwiched in Bui and Manu, so that we look at it. It's a transition between the midland into the savannah, and if we can get this stability in these two major counties, it's going to be very important for people that have been fighting a war for almost 8 years. Though we are impressed, but we think that there should be something done. How is your communication with the defense chiefs and officials on the ground, most especially in these two counties? What should Amazonian people expect in the days ahead? Please talk to us, Commander Elvis.
Tarh Paddy, thank you again for that question. But before I answer that question, I want to bring to you some good breaking news also. That again, in the land of no return, Major General Viper and his squad have just succeeded a mission where they have harvested another sweet AK-47 from the Republic terrorists.
You have the images, send them to me now to just show them on the screen. Do you have the images?
I just have an image of the fresh harvest that just came in. The forces are jubilating. They have all returned to base. And that adds to the number of harvests. So technically, we can say that this is the harvesting month for Ambazonian State Army, and let the harvesting continue. Thank you again. Let me get back to your question regarding the aspects of the Ambazonian State Army, how we anticipate to get things under control in Momo and Mezam County. As Barrister Barrister Fru John Nsoh earlier said, this war cannot be fought in all 13 counties at the same way. We understand how strategically important those other Mezam and Momo specifically are, but rest assured that the Ambazonian National Self-Defense Council, for which I am their chairman, we do have a special package that is coming up. We had a very fruitful meeting, the defense meeting yesterday, for which the president was present. We had a briefing and we have unveiled a new package for which we are soliciting assistance from the Ambazonian people that with confidence, just like they have supported Boy and they have seen results, we would replicate those results in other counties, especially in Mezam, Momo, and even Fako County. So there is something in place that the Ambazonian people would be waking up to, just like they're waking up to street news every morning from Boy County. I think I answered your question there, Director Paddy.
Yes, I would think that you have answered the question very strategically, and it's impressive. Barrister Fru, please, you have something to say before we conclude?
Yes, the link, the financial link for that contribution should be put on the screen, so that our people can chip in, because this is a very important strategic decision taken by the NSFC.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mbeseha. Sorry, I didn't even talk about that. You know, I got overwhelmed. So I was still celebrating the harvest, the fresh harvest that just came in.
All right. Okay. Okay. You can put the link. You can put the link. You can let put the link available on all the platforms, and we'll do the needing.
Be talking. I'm trying to get the link. I'm trying to get the link right now.
Yes.
So you guys talking, please.
Yes. Let me finish.
Yeah.
Dear Ambazonians, this year is our own. If we miss this year, I don't know what else to say. Please, please, way and beyond the draft, this fund drive that has been originated from the National Self-Defense Council, we should react and react fast, because even though the ADF has been decimated in Alabu camp, there are remnants of ADFs in Bamenda causing havoc. They are now armed robbers, along with the Tanganji boys, along with some hungry soldiers, and our ASA and our military apparatus has taken this decision to raise a little bit of funds and let the action take place. Whatever action, I don't want to say it, I don't know it, but please, if I get the link, I'm going to send in something, and I'm calling on all Ambazonians, both home and abroad. Put something, take something from your pocket and put it in, and you will see the results. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Commander Elvis, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Fru. I just want to also plead to the Ambazonian people that the results, as they can see, are coming in their numbers on a daily basis. As I earlier said in the previous show, as of now, we have recorded at least 20. If I add this one from today, we're going up in the 2022. The count of La Republic terrorists that have been sent to Sang Malima in body bags in Bui County alone. We're talking about within the space of two weeks, we have 22 of them gone, never to come back again. That's the land of no return. We would like to send all of them packing. Those left behind, they are panicking. We are sure that some would even hand their weapons over and be sent away into neighboring countries for refuge. But we would like to ask the Ambazonian people who have always stood by Bowie County and have supported the Ambazonian State Army, that now is the time for you to come on board. You're not only supporting Bowie County, you're supporting Ambazonia, because we would be able to get the momentum back up. And once the momentum gets up, the whole of Ambazonia will get up. It's just like a snowball effect where we start trickling in slow and steady. We can already see that as the momentum is picking up in Bowie County, Ngoktunja is picking up, Fako is picking up, Manu is picking up, and the entire Ambazonia will ultimately pick up. So we cannot allow their resources to deplete. We need to make sure that we replenish these resources that our ASAs need so that they can continue going on the offensive, so they can continue ambushing these terrorists day in, day out, and let them understand that there is no joy for the wicked in Ambazonia. So they are the wicked ones in our territory, and we would not give them any breathing space. So please, dear Ambazonians, do the right thing. Most of us can only sacrifice with our wallets. Nothing is, no amount is small at this moment. The link will be provided, and we ask that you please chip in some support so we can be able to motivate our forces that are doing an excellent work, and also make sure that we help them train others, train the trainer. They can train others so they can become more effective, even in those counties that feel like nothing is happening there. Don't be discouraged, Ambazonia. Our better days lie ahead. Thank you again for your continuous commitment. Thank you for your service and your sacrifice to our great nation. May the Almighty God continue to bless and protect each and every one of you.
Yeah, fellow Ambazonians, where we're actually bringing this precise payment channel for Bowie on the screen right now. We're calling on every one of you. You know that you can use the ABC platform and just use the platforms that are there, and probably just indicate or use the federal government to indicate that, okay, this is what is happening. Okay, I think if you look at the scroller right now, we have details. We're going to pass it on to the end of this program. If you look at it, our scroller there is actually showing the payment details for Bowie. You can either donate directly to Bowie. The cash app is $ Bowie County NFP. Please note that the letters B in Bowie, C is county, and NFP are all case sense. Please use capital letters for B for Bowie, C capital letter for county, and NFP. So Bowie County NFP, do not forget this $ for the Zelle. So donation is at bowiecounty.org. Bank, iBank Europe, that is for those in Europe. You have the details there. It's going to be going through. We're going to have
what about Zelle? What about Zelle?
There is Zelle on the screen. The Zelle, can you just observe on the screen as I'm reading it? If you look, the Zelle number is also coming out there. It's on the screen right now. But
no, I'm going to it is not on my screen. It is not on my screen.
I'm going to be forwarding that to you right now, Barrister Fru. The Zelle is donations at bowiecounty.org. Donations at bowiecounty.org. I'm forwarding the details to you. But those who are looking at the scroller down now on the screen, please, you can go right ahead and make sure that you support these brave fighters for the great work that they're doing. I want to remove this to make it a little bit clearer. If you're looking at our screens, you see the Zelle is there. The Zelle is donations at bowiecounty.org. Donations at bowiecounty.org. And General Talk and Do, Major General Talk and Do, is calling on every Ambazonian to respond right immediately. This has been an amazing evening, and we are thrilled to see how that the Ambazonian fighters, in fact, the Ambazonian State Army is actually procuring a lot of equipments on a daily basis without necessarily going to any market. We now have more than enough weapons, and there's no need for us to buy Osumugo from any place. We're getting them from Yaoundé. So Cameroon is supplying us with a lot of weapons. Commander Elvis, what do you have to say about that?
That is very true. That is the easiest way to for us to to get fortified. You can only take it from the enemy. So the more to bring it, the more we get. We started with 10 guns. Now we are going and getting all the big guns. And so you could look at all of our Ambazonian State Army. They're properly equipped now. They're having very sophisticated weapons. And it's time for us to continue to up the tempo on the enemy, and they would capitulate very soon. I just want to thank the Ambazonian people again, because now is the time, and we are just getting started. So let's move on. Let's not look back. Thank you.
Yeah, that's quite amazing right there. I do appreciate exactly what you're saying there, and the fact that the people would have to be very involved in whatever they are giving. But this is something that is happening here, and I would say that it's very instrumental. I want to make sure that everybody who's looking at us on the screen is seeing the payment platforms. We're going to be having it. The images you're seeing on the screen there just came in from FACO this morning. I want to congratulate Commander Fombat for the great work he's doing. There's a lot he's been doing to mobilize these guys and put them together. I've had opportunity to talk to some of them, and I'm impressed with the feedback we're getting. I'm also I want to appreciate the diligent work of Commander Willie of Manu, who has his tentacles all across Manu, even getting close to Momo. That's amazing. These were images we received from Manu, Oyimojo, the other day, and you could actually see an invasion of a settlement by the colonial armed forces, the forces of occupation that were ambushed. A lot of them were neutralized, and so much harvest took place. This communication is like there is a wave. There's a wave. It's like the state army is sensing that some very great things are happening everywhere, and every county is speaking up. Ngokituja is speaking up. A lot of things are happening. We got an impressive message from the fighters in Ngokitunja the other day, and that's amazing. Commander Elvis, talk to us a little bit. The proximity between Ngokitunja and Bui is very important. The relationship between the fighters in Ngokitunja and Bui is also very vital. How is the communication between the forces? Because I know one you and the others, they're transitioning from time to time with Viper into Mezam, and collaborating with Ngokitunja is very important. What is the state on the ground? What could you say? Can you depend? Because I know Ngokitunja can depend on Bui for backup. Are you saying currently with the communication and the work you people are putting together, you can actually depend on intelligence from Ngokitunja on the ground when it comes to backup? How is the current state of affairs?
Yeah, Director Paddy, we've always known that Ngokitunja is Bui and Bui is Ngokitunja. We have always been one. We've gone through challenges together, and anytime we've been able to overcome as a solid team. Ngokitunja has never withheld or not cooperated with Bui in any way, shape, or form. Contrary to that, we have had very good relationships. Unfortunately, we did have an unfortunate situation where one of our brave warriors, who we thought we were going to be able to accommodate him and work well with him, turned out that was not the case. You know what I'm talking about. So that is something that we don't want to go back to. We're looking forward when we must have gained our, when we must have gained back our entire territory, we can look back at some of these things and see how we could have corrected it. But now, as of now, the forces in Bui and Goktunja, they're working hand in glove with each other. They're great. They communicate excellently. There is no misunderstanding. We do have, General, Major General, the only bro. We have the other general who was also a team part of the force that FM Sagon left behind. So these are fighters that are in constant contact with us, and we're making sure that we continue to educate them, make sure they continue to share intelligence, they share, coordinate themselves, and of course, share materials as well. So we are confident with the level of understanding amongst this Amazonian State Army. As you mentioned, fighters in Bui, they're in great collaboration with those in Mbeseha. Matter of fact, we are one. It's just really nothing that separates us. We understand that fighters fall under their counties, but as a chain of command, when it comes to the military, we see ourselves as one. So we just want to make sure that there is no distinction, and that any soldier, any fighter in Bui, if you find a soldier, fighter from La Republique in Libya, wherever it is, you can take him down. You don't need permission from anybody to do that. It's the law of the land that you take action. So you do that. So we encourage all fighters to be able to move freely within the territories and to be able to do exactly that which is required, which is to fight the enemy at anywhere, anytime. So again, Bui and Goktunja, we're great, and we've mended some relationships that otherwise would have gone down the hill. But we're proud because all those counties in the Savannah zone, talking about Ndonga as well, county with whom we work greatly. If you see the action that Major General Tokandu just carried out, where he blew up another amok vehicle that was carrying people around the Nsoh and Ndonga stretch. So that was in the border, the road linking Ndonga to Bui and Ndonga from the Nsoh stretch. They work hand in glove. They gather intelligence, they share intelligence, they share material, logistics, and they carry out these missions together. We cannot allow them to have any separation, because we are all one family, and we're making sure that we chase the elephant and get him down, and then we can decide to share it at that point. So thank you again for your question, Colonel Paddy, and over to you.
That's amazing. My fellow Ambazonians, you can see the payment platform. It's right on the screen, on the scroller as we're speaking right now. It's been going. Those who will be watching us at the home front or anywhere, if you are subscribed to our website, you can watch live. You will have it. Our subscription has been improved. It is easier now. We're calling, just think for 1 minute with all the chaos that's happening and the diverse information from different angles. Think for 1 minute that there is no ABC Amba television. So by that note, I am actually calling on you guys watching us to also donate and keep this platform sustainable. It takes a lot of logistics for us to put together the team the way we are doing, and to week after week, day after day, month after month, give stream globally. There's a lot. It's the media warfare that ABC Amba Television is championing. When there is chaos out there, we come and set the record straight. This media warfare should be funded with the same passion and dedication like we're funding the arms on the ground. It's very important. So for those of you who have not donated to ABC for a while, it's important that you do that today, like now. You get to contact us. You have our payment platforms. which we would also be having some of them on the screen. It's very imperative that we take the funding the war at different dimensions. In fact, right now as we speak, the government is fighting this war in different fronts. You've heard the lawyers telling you about the legal battles that they are involved with. You have diplomacy that's very tasking and very consuming. And then we're talking about the media warfare that has been facing some challenges. We're facing greater challenges than any other television of this struggle has ever faced. From the day I've worked with all the TV, so I can tell you right now. But what makes the difference as we speak right now, what distinguishes ABC Amba television from the crowd right now is the excellent management. You Ambazonians watching us should be very proud of our management. The management and the structures and the institutions that we've built has never existed before. I can tell you that very proudly. We have been able to stabilize intrusion, internal attacks. You should be proud of ABC Amba TV. In fact, this is the only institution that the Ambazonian people have. They do have 100% rights over. And that has a lot of things that we can call tangible. We're not just talking about pilot offices like the cabinet and the House of Representatives. We're talking about real offices that have been instituted and real structures that are in place. We've been at this level for a while now. We've gone through the training and we need to get to the new level. And that will need your funding today, not tomorrow. Now, do not be moved by those who try to sabotage us. Scripture says, you shall know them by their fruits. Our fruits are sufficient enough to tell you that this is not just all about propaganda. To tell you that ABC is worth reckoning. It's worth believing. It's worth standing for. It's worth funding. We have proven beyond every reasonable doubt that we are not just talking what we do, we know what to do. If you have to fund anything media in Ambazonia right now, it's only ABC you should be funding. We have not only been stable or consistent. When there is noise out there, ABC brings the stability. In fact, we are a proud gem in the Cameroons. Cameroon wants us down by every available means. And in December, they used even members within us to stop us for not having. They themselves said in their audio, I don't want to call names today because I'm not in line calling names on TV. But Cameroon proxies use people within the government to stop us in December so that we will not stream the president's end of year speech. And some of them went in different platforms, started bragging because they were very sure that they had succeeded. So they started telling Ambazonians that we were lying that we streamed the president on the 31st of December. It's a shame how diabolic some people could go. And the only fight we can wage against such non-entities, short-sightedness, is our donation. You are aware of the platform that some individuals are hoping, I don't know if they have stopped or they want to, let them bring it on. If he's going to talk about Ambazonia, that's okay. We are not more intimidated by that. We have already taken some steps ahead and we have a clear path we're following. We need your resources today. Lastly, for those who have not received their tax letters, I know of Uncle Bernard. I am still waiting for you to give me some details. There are those who have not received their tax letters. We have these tax letters available. If you have received your tax letter and you need adjustments, just come and let's reconcile the accounts. and you can get their tax letters. We've also had very good feedback from those who have already filed in taxes with the tax letters. They are very impressed with it. And that's the advantage that ABC has over every other thing you're doing. If you did any of your donations via our platforms, you are eligible for a tax letter and you should have it. Thank you very much. Until next week, it's been Tarh Paddy King with Ambazonia this week. Stay tuned.
Stand with Ambazonia. Empower ABC Amba TV. We are calling on Ambazonians around the world to unite and uplift ABC Amba TV, Ambazonian Broadcasting Corporation. In this critical time of war, ensuring the station's survival is more important than ever. But what does ABC Amba TV truly represent for Ambazonia?
At the heart of Ambazonia's war of independence, ABC Amba TV stands as a beacon. Years of recolonization, annexation, and French Cameroon's oppressive occupation of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia have led to our exclusion. Our identity was hidden, our history distorted, our sovereignty denied. Queen of England is aware that the British Southern Cameroons were never a colony under France.
Since its inception in 2018, ABC Amba TV has been our lifeline.
Months of diplomacy have failed to resolve the crisis as fear grows over an imminent Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Our work in the dark is our chance to tell our stories to the world, to give voice to the voiceless and broadcast the truth of our struggle.
We are serious about executing this revolution.
It has become a vital arm of our government in wartime, making diplomacy achievable and showcasing our untold stories.
ABC Amba, you guys know how important ABC is for this, our quest for international recognition.
Your donations can make a world of difference. Every bit of support helps keep our stories alive, our presence known, and our fight in the global conversation.
The moment they notice that we are no longer on air, they think that, oh, maybe La Republic has succeeded. This is about Ambazonia. One thing we must always remember.
Where would we be without ABC Amba TV? Let's ensure we never have to find out.
A revolution is a temporary state of insanity to bring about sanity.
Mobilize, donate, stand with Ambazonia, donate to ABC Amba TV.
Together, let's write the next chapter of our history.
It is better to light the candle than to curse the dark.
Support ABC Amba TV campaign. Ambazonia Independence, voice for the voiceless. Mobilize for change.